Facebook.
You guys are
Great.
ready to go.
Well, I want to welcome everyone to our fourth in a series of virtual town halls dedicated to staying in touch with our South Jersey community and making sure folks are knowledgeable and aware about the resources that exist. So far we've had great discussions about the COVID stimulus package and eligibility requirements. We've had discussions about nurses on the front line and what it looks like to be in a South Jersey hospital right now. And tonight's discussion and last week's discussion, we're going to be talking about crises that existed before the pandemic and that unfortunately will be here with us after. It's important to talk about these things in conjunction because a lot of these crises, whether it's climate change or what we'll discuss tonight, which is just the plight of vulnerable populations and homelessness, some of these things are exacerbated at times of crisis like COVID. And I think for us, we want to be, my campaign, we want to be a resource to letting folks, making them aware of what's available. And we have some amazing representatives from some great organizations that you probably have walked by their offices and noticed, but you don't know what's happening inside. And that's what we want to sort of bring that to light for everyone tonight. And so I'm going to turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves and where they're from before we start the discussion. I'm just going to go in the row that I see right now, starting with Denise.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, Will, here, and just for organizing this town hall. So my name is Denise South. I am the director and chaplain for Cape Hope. We are located in Cape May County. We primarily offer our services to Cape May County residents, and we've been in existence since 2016. Helping and working various, actually all populations of homelessness now. And we have 5 programs that are reaching out into different areas of those populations as we continue to develop programs to be more effective.
Great. Well, we'll definitely dig deeper into that. Jennifer and Carrie, you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Jennifer Henderson. I'm the program director of Court-Appointed Special Advocates of Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties. We're a nonprofit fueled by volunteers who give a voice to children in court. Our volunteers are appointed by Superior Court judges to investigate the lives of our foster youth. And our volunteers provide resources to the children and families. We try to avoid reentry and secure permanency for our youth.
Great. Thank you for being here tonight.
I'm Carrie. I'm from Hopeloft as well. I work with CASA and I also work with transitional youth. I also work with PRISM, which is a club that we have for the LGBTQ youth in Cumberland County and beyond. I've been with Hopeloft for the last 6 months. I really enjoy it. We have so many different things. It would take us forever to kind of talk about what we offer, but it's a great place and a lot of community outreach.
Right there in downtown Bridgeton. So
yes,
happy you guys
yep.
are with us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Darlene and Tony.
Hi, I'm Darlene Fiedler, working with Spirit Truth Ministries, and this is Tony Centeno. We are a Vineland Soup Kitchen.
You and anyone watching, you may have seen them or seen Tony. He's quite famous. He's on the front page of the Daily Journal a couple weeks back. So we got a big timer with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
just want to thank you. I just want to thank you for the time to join and be part of this team. And it's also, it's nice to let people know what we do and the needs of our community. It's very important. Up to now, especially in Cumberland County and Vineland, is really being ignored, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, anytime I get to shed a light, and, for me, it was really important to, the groups that are here tonight, we're going to talk about the great work you're doing, but it's a cross section of, the experiences I've had in my life. I've eaten at Spirit Truth Ministries Soup Kitchen. And so for me, the ability, whenever I can volunteer with you guys, as I have been, and you guys know you can always call on me, it means the world that the work you're doing is touching lives and making a difference. And that's for everyone here, whether it's the homelessness I experienced and the work Cape Hope is doing. There are some loud neighbors wearing cars, or, as a member of the LGBT community and the great work that PRISM is doing, you know, and we'll talk about this more, but I know, you know, when Carrie and I had this discussion and we discovered, she told me that half of the homeless and foster youth here in Cumberland County are LGBTQ. I knew it was an issue. I didn't realize the figure was quite that high. So we have a great conversation planned tonight, but I wanted to, Denise, if we could start with you. Some of the services, you know, I know it's, let folks know, is it Cape May specific? And if they're in need, sort of what's the best way to reach out to Cape Hope and what can they expect?
Right. Well, Cape Hope's donors, we are also completely volunteer-based, and that helps us put back more money to the programs. But we are primarily servicing Cape May County residents only. When we do get someone who's out of county, we network with other county agencies to try to get them connected to, you know, to help them. But the programs that we offer in Cape May County, as I said, are for all populations that are experiencing homelessness. Programs from the elderly to single parent families to youth 17 to 23. We have programs for individuals. We've just started the Operation 1923, which is a program for homeless pregnant moms. That is a program we intend on extending beyond Cape May County. And also Operation Set Free, which is for those who have recently been released from incarceration and unable to secure any kind of assistance with housing because of either a distribution charge or other obstacles, you know, around their incarceration period. So we've extended our emergency housing to those people as well. And then in addition to all the other services that Cape Hope offers, we have food, we have personal care items, and we network with a host of other agencies that are providing services for these populations as well.
Great. And talking about that collaboration is, because I know Branches in Rio Grande does great work as well.
Yes.
Is there any way you can just sort of, for our people, for viewers maybe watching, trying to distinguish the difference or sort of whether it makes sense to go to one over the other, sort of, can you point them in the right direction?
Well, the Branches is an organization that we work with as well. They are a day center primarily. They receive their guests. I believe their hours are from 10 to 1 or 2. There are meals that are served as well as meals available for takeout. There's also a great amount of networking that goes on with their ministry, as well as they help the community members that are struggling in other areas as well, maybe getting their medicines or with transportation, getting connected to services in the community through local Cape May County agencies. They do an amazing work, and we've networked with them for several years now. We receive referrals from them, and then we also send people, you know, to them as well. So it's kind of like a one-on-one situation.
All right. Yeah, I've heard of both, and I think that's really helpful information for folks to sort of understand sort of where they can go for the various services, meals,
Right.
or you know, residents, things of that nature. I think we have Melissa Helmbrick from Hopeloft. She might be joining us. She's the executive director. If we can get her on. Otherwise, you know, Carrie and I, you know, we talked about an array of services provided in Hopeloft. And if, you know, the website that and all the great work you guys are doing, you know, remotely, sort of how should community members access your services at this time? Sort of what are those services? Carrie?
Oh, she's on. Here she is.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get to the unmute. Right now, we actually started a hotline that people can call, and if they're looking for resources, we have a whole team that kind of work together to pull some resources, and in different counties, not just Cumberland, as far as housing concerns, food, any assistance with utilities, that those are changing, often. And they can speak to either there's two people running the hotline, and if they can kind of help them, then they do. But if not, they then send them over to myself or one of the other team members from Hopeloft, and we can assist them further if it's a little bit more. They can also find on our website, there's a link right now, a COVID link that kind of gives another list of resources for that, and also for teens and children. Right now, everybody's trying to find ways to keep their kids entertained and help with education, and teaching is not everybody's thing. So we wanted to make sure that we could, at least offer some of that to anybody looking. And, we're all here to help wherever we can. So it's been fun to kind of put all of that together.
Great. Awesome. And then Tony, Darlene, can you just let folks know sort of the services that the Violence Superstition and Spirit and Truth Ministries is offering right now?
Well, we're pretty limited on offering anything but food.
Which is needed.
Yeah, well, food's really needed right now. There's a lot of people out there that are hungry and are afraid and are missing food because the pantries are closed all throughout Cumberland County. There might be only 5 pantries that I know that are open. So it's limited on a daily basis. We must have 20 different people come up to us asking us for food other than what we're cooking.
Mm-hmm.
We're cooking 200 meals a day, and that's not enough food going out in Vineland. Just not enough. We can't do any more. We try, but we really can't do any more than that. We're on a limited staff because of the COVID, so there's only 4 to 5 people working a day in the kitchen, and that's us carrying out every single package up the stairs and handing out food on the street. So it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Because you guys have transitioned into a takeaway to comply with some of the restrictions.
Complete only takeaway. Nobody's allowed in. They're not allowed in to use the bathroom. They're not allowed in to get out of the rain. No one's allowed in the church. So, it's the rules. You got to follow the rules just so we can keep open, just to feed the people that need to be fed. Tony's there every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. We start 6 o'clock. We start, food's done by 9:15. We start wrapping our food, and then we bring them out to the street.
It's kind of hard because to feed over 200 meals a day is not an easy task. And there is more and more people coming in. We have families, like 8, 10 people in a household coming in for lunch, to pick up meals. And it's sad. It's very sad. And it's going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get any better. Yeah. I think another couple of weeks is going to be, because it's going to, people are not taking in consideration that a lot of farmers are not going to be working. A lot of these factories are closed, and there's going to be a shortage of food pretty soon. We're not thinking about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be tougher. It's going to be more and more people coming, to get something to eat. And we got to get together and do something, because it's got to be, we got to put our resources together.
Yeah, and so on that same point, because I'm gonna start with Tony and Darlene, because a lot of these services, they were vital, and sometimes we're already under-resourced or underfunded, and now we're in this time of crisis in which it's more needed than ever. So I'm hearing from you all that typically, how many people were you serving before, and sort of how quickly have you seen that number expand and the need expand?
Before, we were serving about 150 a day. We would do 40 people in the morning. We did breakfast and lunch. So, and there's truly 40 people on the street every morning that wake up on the street that would come into us, and we would have breakfast. They would stay in there till 1 o'clock. We would make lunch. Our numbers from that number has jumped from 150 to 200 to today we served 225 lunches, and that wasn't enough.
Wow.
I have a family. What?
What was for lunch today?
Today we had tacos.
Yeah, the meals are good. I've had them. They're really good.
Yeah, yeah, tacos, Spanish rice. Yeah, it was good. Some sauteed carrots, homemade desserts, because we're not getting as many desserts as we used to get from. We used to get our desserts and bread from ShopRite. That's not happening. So we have some of our volunteers that can come into the kitchen and help are making us some desserts. So that helps offset the cost. The cost has gone up drastically. We're doing 220 pieces of silverware a day, 220 pieces of to-go containers, bags, aluminum foil, saran wrap. It's incredible how much.
So what you're doing in one day, you normally could, that was a week's supply.
Pretty much so, because we would give to-go containers when we had leftovers, but not like this. That's for sure. You know.
Yeah.
And
what can people
Will.
do? I know, like you said, that some of the pantries throughout Cumberland County are closed. Is there, if they wanted to, is there a Facebook group if they wanted to message someone, if they needed someone delivered, hot meal delivered, sort of how would they go about doing that?
Well, pretty much word of mouth and through Facebook on our site. People have messaged many of us asking if we can deliver food. We just had a gentleman come out of the hospital, a homeless gentleman that we were able to put up in the hotel somewhere locally, but we were asked if we could bring him lunch every day because he has no family here, and of course he's homeless. So we drive after I'm done serving our lunch and delivering food outside, we deliver to people. So we deliver there to one of the local hotels. We deliver to 2 families that are compromised and can't get out and have children at home. So that gets delivered to them every day. Then we deliver to the senior center, and we deliver to another senior center in town. And the reason they need food is because the churches that were helping them out before the COVID started are no longer helping. They don't have the resources to help.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of people. Like they're seniors. They don't have it. They don't have any means. They don't have ways to get out of their apartment. So, we just go around a circle and drop off food.
Yeah. And I think the untold story of that situation is that, a lot of this, you guys are all the sort of the front liners, but you're not in the hospital. You're serving a community of healthy people who just have food insecurity or home insecurity. But you're taking that risk every time you go into a house that's not yours. Every time you interact with someone, that's I don't want that to be lost on folks. I'm grateful for that work. I know as my mom and a lot of my family go to work every day, and they're also sort of not in the healthcare industry, but everyone who is going on into the community every day is putting their health on the line. So I just want, that's something that we highlight.
Thanks for mentioning that, Will, because it's true. And I don't know if I can say this now, but I'm going to say it. Today, I was reading an article, and it's wonderful that there's a lot of organizations out there trying to help a lot of people at the hospital that are working, and our police department and our fire department and whatnot. There's a lot of money going out to supply those people with food. Don't get mad at me, anybody. It's just general what I'm saying.
Well, bring it on over to 7th and Landis is what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, bring it to 7th and Landis. We could feed a lot of people that are
11:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, 7th and Landis. All right.
One of the things is that I feel, and is something that we haven't really seen, is our city people really come forward to try to see, even contact us to try to help out in the homeless population. And, not just the homeless, because we're not just feeding the homeless, we're feeding the community.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a shame that they're not reaching out, especially to us, because we are in the front line. We are providing a service, a medical service, because if these people don't eat, what do you think is going to happen? You can give them you can put them in a hospital, if they don't eat, they're going to end up in a hospital. So, we do provide a service in the front line. And it's a shame that our city government has not approaches us. They haven't come forward to say, hey, listen, let's see what we can do to help you guys out. So you've been there, you see what we do.
Yeah, I have, and it needs to be supported because you guys are on the front line. We're going to talk about that more about sort of on the back end of this conversation, sort of what can be done locally on a state level, federal level, things of that nature to make sure these programs are funded and supported. But I wanted to pivot over to Hopeloft, and I know you mentioned that COVID website and sort of, it sounded like there was a number of, really robust things happening that you guys, expanded or previously existing programs, but also sort of created anew to meet new demands. What does that look like at Hopeloft? Carrie or Jennifer?
I was going to let Melissa take that.
Or Melissa, is she on? Or we can
Yeah, I was
put her
gonna
on
say I'm
speakerphone.
muted.
Okay.
I don't know. Melissa can talk on it there. I'm unmuted now.
Melissa's on.
Okay, yeah, I see. I was going to say I can speak for the CASA side of things, just about the need, and then let them expand because CASA is a part of the Hopeloft building. But some of the things that we've really seen a difference in that we've kind of changed now is a lot of our even more frontliners, our caseworkers and our foster youth are going without even just normal PPEs that you'd have. So we've had an influx of trying to get donations for masks, trying to get donations for food. I'm listening to, you know, the food service that you all provide, and I think that's really incredible. We too have seen an influx, and we've been trying to put our heads together to think about long-term what this is going to look like with funding and making sure we can provide this food and make it sustainable for our community. So we've seen an influx with that on the foster care side of things too.
In all three counties?
In all three counties, yes. And no one's being provided with enough, not just food, but the mask, the hand sanitizer, even simple things like just, you know, being able to spray down a vehicle when you go to see a child. And so we've been trying to just kind of bring our resources together. And, you know, I've noticed the community has really, people want to help. So I think this town hall is even an amazing opportunity for people to talk about ways that we can help each other. I mean, I'm learning about the food service that you all provide. I think that's incredible. I want to know how I can help more with that. I know now where to direct people if I, you know, if I can help and make it more for you. So I didn't know about that before. And I think that this is really great. I'll let Melissa and Carrie talk on Hopeloft, but I know from the foster care, the children in court side of things, we've had an influx in the need of services, removals, and the need for just an extra set of eyes on the children because we don't know what's going on right now. We have to just make sure we're all there for each other.
Got it. And Melissa, thanks for joining. So when I toured Hopeloft back in early March, I think I got in there just in the nick of time because a week later it was like everything's closed. And for me, I was just blown away because I too, longtime Cumberland County resident, you know, I have family in Bridgeton. I'm in Bridgeton all the time, and I didn't know what was happening inside this building. And I walked around, and Steve DeFelice, I think I pronounced his last name right. He kind of just walked me around, and I got to learn about the amazing programs. But you are sort of the executive director overseeing all of it. So welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so at Hopeloft, we have 37 projects and organizations that we house and incubated. And they're all focused on improving the lives of children and families. That's what our projects were all about in the beginning of March before this pandemic hit. I think that we've gone through 3 phases, and I think this is probably similar for all organizations. The first phase was just emergency, right? Where we were trying to make sure that our staff and our families that we serve and our volunteers, everybody was just safe, that they had groceries, that they had their medications, that they had a safe place to be while we got our bearings to figure out, you know, what in the world's going on here, right? And then the second phase that we went through was just trying to kind of modify a little bit of what we were doing so that we could still provide services to families and children. So one of the things that we do is any person without any kind of qualifiers can reach out to us and be matched one-on-one with an advocate who helps the person and family deal with whatever issues and challenges that they're facing. From, you know, financial issues to health issues to relationship issues, housing, food stability. The reason that we created a program that anybody can get services from is we'd find families that weren't eligible for a particular government aid, right? Like they made too much money or they didn't meet some eligibility requirement. And we wanted to create a program that everybody is eligible for. So families can come to us and we work with them. There's no time limit. It's completely free. It's confidential. And we've helped thousands of families through this one-on-one advocacy that we provide. When the pandemic hit, we started to do it virtually, right? So anybody can reach out to the Hopeloft with any issue that you're having.
What's
And
the website?
you'll be matched with an
How would they do
advocate.
that? Is there, can they reach out to you just on the website, or is there an email address they should
Yeah,
use?
there's a hotline. So if you go to our Facebook page or our website, the first thing you'll come to is the hotline number, which I should have, but
Yeah, and
Carrie, you look it up real quick.
yeah, and
But
Got it.
spelled the way
I'll
it
look
sounds, Hopeloft, one
Hopeloft,
word.
HOPELOFT.com.
All right.
So that was the second phase, was just sort of like making sure that we could provide the same services that we've always provided. And now I think we're entering a third phase, which is realizing that this is the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about, tweaking what we've always done, but really reinventing who we are to meet the needs of the community now and going forward, which is an intensive process. We're all involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And just figuring out, some of the ways that we did things in the past will no longer be relevant. And there's more need than ever before. And that need's it's not gonna blow over. This is gonna have an impact on our community for a decade. And we all have to come together and work together and collaborate. And that's what we're about at Hopeloft. So we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful for you all being on, and I don't want to call you guys a one-stop shop, but that's kind of what you described. And I think it's important that folks know, that it's confidential and that there's an array of services. And so, I would encourage folks to just reach out and, just as, even if you're not certain if there's something that somehow they could help you, it's 37 projects you
37, yeah.
There's a high chance probability that anyone watching, tell folks that are food insecure, housing insecure, or just have needs. There's a high probability one of these 37 projects is tailored for your needs, and that's wonderful. I'm so happy y'all for being on tonight.
So the hotline number is 856-200-8274. And you can call between the hours of 9 and 5 and catch a live person. But on our website, there's also a link to a Google form. Or if you're just like a little shy to talk to someone directly about anything that you're going through, you can fill out the Google form and then we'll call you back. And I know, Will, you met Hillary that works with us.
Yeah.
She's an amazing resource to Hopeloft. She's wonderful. One of the things that she's been doing recently is finding out the needs of people, especially elderly, that need someone to shop for them. And if they can't afford, some of those things, she's always able to get donations anywhere. That's why it was kind of to cop, what Jen said, listening to the soup kitchen needs, like we have so many people willing to help and so many people have donated to help out with providing groceries for a lot of elderly through Hillary and some of our transitional foster youth that are a little older, but maybe, don't have the means right now to get out. She's been able to provide some of that stuff for them. So, even that, calling the hotline, we can have that connection as well.
That's great. And the other thing I wanted to this is streaming live on Facebook. If I will either do this, or anyone who can go on to Facebook and just type in to the comment section that exact information about the website and the phone number, in the Google Doc. I think that would be, as folks see this video online, they'll see that in the comments and they'll have a ready-made access point. Before we turn over to Denise, I wanted to highlight, because I know, when we met, that I guess the last Friday of normalcy at this point back in March, you were doing this amazing program, and you guys were going to the skating rink in Bridgeton, and it was a prison program. You guys were going to have 75 either LGBTQ teenagers or allies, and to create that kind of safe space. And you mentioned a lot of, especially in Cumberland County, 50% of the youth that are homeless are of that community. What do those supports look like for that community throughout the pandemic?
So it's actually been really great. Prism started around this time last year as a way to kind of have a safe space for LGBTQ youth and allies to come together and show support. And our first meeting was in June of last year. It was a great meeting. We invited all the local schools and their GSAs to come. And it slowly like built its way through up until now. So our first real event for the community was the skate party. We were really unsure how it was going to go. And we were so excited to have so many people show up. And within 3 days, I believe, we had over $500 in donations to help make it free for most of the youth that showed up. And we had parents that were so thankful. You know, they're like, we don't usually let our kids go to anything public like this because we don't know, you know, what to expect.
They're gonna be safe. Yeah.
Yeah, like they were really nervous about that, and they were like, this was just such a warm and welcoming environment, and we got such great feedback that they want to do it again. And we're like, we were so gung-ho and excited, and then the next thing you know, we were, you know,
Literally a
here
week
we
later.
are. So our first virtual meet is tomorrow night, which we are so excited to do. And we were able to, with some of the donations that we got for the skate party, create a magazine, like a virtual magazine through Prism, where our youth can share poetry, art, anything they want, reaction videos to shows or movies that they watch, just as you know, another platform for them to enjoy. And we haven't revealed the magazine yet, because we're doing it with our group tomorrow night. So
That's
we're
awesome.
excited to be able to share that with them. And we've had such an outpouring of support and love. It's been pretty amazing.
I personally want to thank you guys for doing that work and being active in that community and helping those kids have a safe space, because I know, as one is formerly a teenager of that community, they need that space to really flourish, and I'm glad you guys are providing it for them.
Thank you. And normally when we do our Prism meets, which it was a little unique, like I said, the night you came, we were doing the skate party. We also do an open mic night that's family friendly on our first Fridays. So any of the youth that come to the Prism meet can go to the open mic afterwards and perform for free if they want, or just join in and watch. But that's one of the other great things that Hillary organizes, and there's going to be a virtual open mic tomorrow night as well. So that's open to the community for anyone, and it's, like I said, family friendly. And I think it's I want to say $3 for them to perform, and that all goes back into having it, you know, over and over again. It's so great to see it. And if you go to the Hopeloft Facebook, Hillary just shared a video recently that was made, and it shows a lot of our talent, including some of our foster youth that have been a part of it. So it's really awesome.
That's great.
Nice program.
Great. And at hopeloft.com, all the programs. Denise, I have the same question for you, but also we will have question. If anyone has any question, you can post it either on the Facebook stream or here, and we will be sure to address it before this is all said and done. But Denise, can we talk to us about, you know, I know the services you provide are primarily in Cape May, and I've had so many conversations with advocates in Cape May, because part of the issue that I've been told and I've discovered is that, and we always know this to be true, you can't fix a problem if you don't address its existence, right? If you don't believe it exists, you will never take care of it. And there has been this notion that homelessness does not exist in Cape May. And so, you know, I think we have to work hard to dispel that notion. I heard about these tent communities, you know, folks who for, you know, over a year, close to 2 years, have literally just been living in the woods. Over on, I think, Route 9, it was a Walmart on Route 9. I went personally to ask for access. I didn't want to assume that I'd be allowed back there. There was a friend of mine who had ties to one of the married couples living back there, and she asked if I could visit, and they allowed me to visit. And just to see something like that with your own eyes, it exists in Cape May, and we can't continue to believe that it doesn't. But what does that look, so we've always known, obviously the advocates on this panel know this problem exists. How has it worsened with the pandemic, and sort of what are the challenges there when you're in a county that doesn't want to acknowledge that there's an issue?
Well, during the last year or so, I think that has changed by force because the problem is here. I don't want to call it a problem. It's a challenge. It is here. Our elected officials know that it's here. We've been very active in reminding them of that fact. And I think, you know, we've had 3 people who have died, 3 people who were at the time of their passing were homeless. And I think that also raised awareness to the community that our elected officials could not deny the fact that it does exist. But more than the tent communities, which do exist still, Cape Hope addresses, as I said, all populations of people experiencing homelessness. And one of those populations that gets overlooked so often is the Mckinney-Vento population, the single parent and families that are living somewhere, but it's not theirs. And in several other conversations that I've had with people, my concern, and as well as others, that we are now raising a generation of homeless. You know, they may be living with grandma, they may be living with a friend, but that changes several times throughout the year. We have now people that are cohabitating with other families because they can't afford one by themselves, which develops into different situations that may lead one family or the other to become homeless. But the system is broken, and we know that. The old way of doing things, the policies that were created long ago are antiquated. Times have changed, as with everything, and we need to reevaluate these programs and policies and bring them up to the level of the needs of the people today. Not denying the fact that it exists, and taking it one step further so that we can provide a safe place for all people to live, to work, and to live. Cape May County has a unique situation where we're seasonal. We are so, you know, employment poverty here in the wintertime, as well as we have an affordable housing shortage. So combine those two, you have a recipe for homelessness, whether it's Mckinney-Vento homeless or living in a tent homeless. The pandemic has actually, I don't want to say helped, but it's provided a means of housing people who are experiencing homelessness through the New Jersey 211. People, we were encouraged to let people know that if they are homeless, that they are to call New Jersey 211, and there should be no barriers to getting housed, to being placed. How long that's going to last, we don't know. We are on constant, you know, lookout as to when that's going to change, and we are ready to start placing people again through our program. But that has been a help to us, obviously.
Is that a result of the additional funding that's come in with some of the state stimulus packages?
I cannot answer that question. Okay. I'll be honest with you. It's a question I have not been able to get an answer to.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, if it's the funding's there, so yeah.
I don't exactly know where the funding is coming from, and I don't know how long it's going to last. But it's keeping people safe and off the street. But on the negative side, it's also creating a disconnect, because we are no longer able to connect with these people. So we're not able to provide the other services that we give. We're unable to do the, you know, mentorship, the discipleship, which we do because we have a whole spiritual side, the, you know, the food networking, although there's a lot of food in Cape May County, and also, you know, providing personal item things for people. We are available for delivery if someone were to reach out to us, and we are delivering items to people, food or personal care items, as well as we continue to work with our families that are in our programs currently. We have 5 families that we're offering services to, as well as 2 homeless pregnant moms. So those programs are, you know, still running.
I'm glad to hear that. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just a robust programs that seem, and you guys have been so responsive to the community's needs, and it's really great to hear. And I know, you know, when we talk about the McKinney-Vento, and I just want to pivot a little bit to, some of the politics of it, shall we say. I know I don't like being called a politician because I believe it's become such a dirty word, but I just like to help people, and you guys are helping people, and I am in this because I want to do that on an elective level. But when we talk about sort of the policy at play, I did education policy when I was working in the Senate, and ESEA, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, was reauthorized. People knew it as No Child Left Behind. It was renamed Every Student Succeeds Act when they revised it in 2015, when I was working in Senator Booker's office. And one of the amendments that we had, there's accountability standards that schools have to, keep track of students and their progress. And we wanted to, one of the tracks that we amended, we created a standard by which school districts had to trace homeless and foster youth progress. And for me, that was personally important, having been a homeless youth. And I know, and it was important to require schools to track that progress, because when I was homeless, I didn't want anyone to know. When you're an insecure teenager, you don't want to talk to anyone about the fact that you don't have the nicest clothes, or don't know where your meal's coming from. That's not something. That's not what a teenager wants to talk about.
Say they're homeless.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, it's one of those things where we have to talk about the policy, because it does make a real difference. And I know when we talked to Darlene and Tony earlier about sort of what policies they believed it needed to be met. And I think on here, a lot of folks talk about on the county level, right? Tonight we have represented Cumberland, Salem, Gloucester, and Cape May counties. All your programming in some way or another happens within those 4 counties. What do you believe you need to see on a county level, whether it's for freeholders or on a state level, or, if I'm lucky enough to become congressman, what should I be, what do you think should be the priorities for really elevating and expanding this work?
In Cape May County, we are met with many, many challenges, not only to secure affordable housing for our clients once they're in one of our programs. The rent is exorbitant, and to have someone in a program and expect them to eventually become self-sustaining is almost asking them to catch a falling star. It's not going to happen. So more affordable housing is absolutely necessary, as well as creating employment opportunities. And we as a country have gone through many, many seasons in our growing, where we've seen creative employment opportunities created for people that were struggling. This can be done again and should be done again, because the only way someone can sustain their living, their housing, is to work. And the only way someone can work is if they're housed. So although we have many, many, many programs in South Jersey, none of them address the whole problem. The whole problem is work, housing, and then, the relational side of being homeless. And
transportation too.
Combine all 3 and work towards achieving that goal to create that whole package, we're just going to continue to have these bits and pieces. We are now working towards planting a rescue mission here in Cape May County, and we are including, and what is unique about our goal to do this is that we are including an affordable housing and employment opportunity into our goal to plant this mission here. So it's to meet the immediate need of those experiencing homelessness, but it also has a long-term goal with the affordable housing piece and the employment.
I agree with that. I think transportation, like Carrie said, is a huge deal. The affordable housing. I mean, just from what I've observed from being in this in the field seeing the difference of the way it is now, it's definitely some of the issues that we run into the most are the housing, especially when we have parents who have multiple children. It's really difficult to find the bigger houses for them that are actually affordable. You can't get like a 3-bedroom apartment or home for the kids if it's not affordable. If it's $1,800 a month, it's not affordable. Transportation too, a lot of our counties are pretty spaced out from anywhere you have a city where there are jobs, and public transportation doesn't hit those areas where there may not be, there's not a route because it's too far into town. So sorry. The transportation is a huge issue. I think maybe even more so than the jobs, because the jobs do exist. It's just getting the transportation to the jobs. So I think those are the 2 biggest areas. And now for this children's system of care, we need more support in South Jersey. All of our kids are placed up in North Jersey. So we're adding to the issues that our families who are facing poverty, they can't visit kids if they're in group homes up in, somewhere up in North Jersey. It's 2 hours away and they don't have transportation to get there. And then the kids are removed from everything they really know. So I think from a foster care perspective, we need to kind of focus on that in South Jersey. We do not have mental health care here whatsoever. It's terrible trying to find a therapist, even with good insurance. I mean, I'm thankful I have insurance, and just finding a therapist for my children or myself or anyone in this area is absolutely ridiculously hard.
Zero.
It's going to be a long road of recovery. But if we set out on the right foot, I think we will begin to make progress. All of these programs are wonderful, but until we address the whole problem we're not going to see any momentum moving forward. Another part of our rescue mission is to include the daycare. So we have women who are raising children, and some as many as 5 or 6 children alone, and there's no daycare. So either they're leaving them with inadequate daycare. We had one woman who was keeping 2 of her children with a woman who was in a wheelchair. Like, what kind of daycare is that? And then others don't. So again, our programs all lead to sustainability, but how can we expect that of them if they can't find a job? If they do find a job, how can they get to it if they don't have daycare? How can they get to it if they don't have transportation? So addressing the whole problem is what Cape Hope is now focusing on for the long term.
Yeah, I think if I were a politician that who was looking for ways to address all these situations, because they're pretty overwhelming, I think that one of the first things I would do would be to pull together like this, the agencies and programs that can help to identify and delegate to each one what they're responsible for in that section, because it's too much for one person to tackle. So that would, my dog picks right now to get a water bottle. I apologize. It's the storm's going crazy, so he's going crazy. I think that I would definitely want to focus. I would focus on community involvement, because that's really where it starts. It gets too far away when you have someone who's out of touch with what's going on. And I think that coming together and utilizing the people who are committed to these causes, that are passionate, that are willing to give every last bit of themselves to help, those are the people that I would want on my front lines, knowing that, I couldn't do it alone. I would actually activate every single person I could.
Absolutely. I think it's a brilliant idea, because we've already seen tonight that these amazing services could potentially collaborate, or now they're more aware of each other, or when they deal with their own populations, they have more suggestions they could possibly make based on just the awareness that these other programs exist. And so I think Jennifer, you're right on with that. I think and I hope this is as useful for the community as it is for you all, just to learn about each other and make sure you're staying in touch, because all of these, I guarantee some of the families we're all working with, they're all connected. It's South Jersey's like this small. These families all know someone that if they're not in Cape May, they know someone who might be, or if they're not in Gloucester, they might know someone who could probably use a hot lunch in Vineland. And to that point, Tony and Darlene, you guys sort of talked about earlier, sort of you're noticing sort of funding, there might be some funding omissions or oversights on, or you just think there's better ways that local funding can be directed for programs like yours, and any way that, to campaign, or any of us can be more, can help amplify, we're happy to do that.
Well, first thing is, let me tell you, Denise, I'm very aware of K-May and how many people are homeless, and they want to keep that a secret. They really don't want K-May because it's such a rich town. There's so much money in K-May, but they don't want to know anything about the homeless. Listen, I'm very familiar with the homeless in K-May, okay? For years. I fought that for years. The fact, I know part of K-May, I know, Will, when you went to behind the Walmart, I've been there, I've seen it. I have, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to these kind of things, okay? But K-May, they keep it such a secret. They don't want people they know there is such a big population of homeless. And the things that they're doing to the community in K-May is brutal. It really is. The politicians in K-May to be ashamed, because they do nothing. They have done nothing for that population, for the homeless population, and the people the other people in K-May, not just the homeless, but the poor people in K-May, and the school and everything else. Trust me, I know. I know the area very, very well. So, and it's a shame.
Well, getting back to Vineland, I would like to see maybe some rooming homes here to help our population right here. There's no place for anybody to go here except out on Mays Landing Road. That's really far away. You can go to the shelter there. You're only allowed to stay there 90 days out of the year. That's a sad. Even if you used your 90 days and there's a bed, you can't go there. And that's a state law. That's nothing with the county or anything. That's kind of silly. You have an empty bed, but you won't let somebody stay there if they use their 90 days at the shelter.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you see too often, I think, and and for me, this is so at the heart of the issue why I'm running for office, because if you don't have folks who've had these experiences, it's like, I think, like AOC said, love her, hate her, but she said something I could not agree more with. So she said the people closest to the pain have to be closest to the power. Those people are the ones that are essential to create policy that actually touches people's lives, because they know it and they've been it and they felt it. And I think what we're all touching on is like that particular piece of legislation where you can't be in a bed if you've already utilized that station for 90 days. We're not creating a culture of laziness or over reliance. I think you legislate with that mindset when you have never experienced it, because that is just so inaccurate. And anyone who's ever experienced it knows that law is not going to prevent or be the cause of some kind of laziness or complacency. So that makes me upset.
That's kind of silly. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes me really upset to hear.
It would be.
Even if it is laziness, we have to remember that they're still people. They're still human beings.
Human beings.
And and that even needs to be addressed. Whether it's a 5-day stay at a rescue mission, or a 90-day stay at a boarding house, or being put into an appropriate program, that needs to be addressed. No one should be ignored for any reason. Right now it's pouring outside, it's raining, it's stormy, and you have people that are living outside. Some choose to live
children that are
outside,
living, and teenagers living outside because there's nowhere for them to go.
Exactly. And that is unacceptable. I don't know when, as human beings, we got to this point where it's okay for this to be a part of everyday life. I just don't know when. When did it happen to us?
And Will, I wanted to say this, I just didn't want to interrupt. Like, I'm sure Jen can agree. We work with a lot of different families, but like my focus has always been youth and teenagers, and transitional youth, if you're not familiar, is foster youth that are aging out of foster care. And many times when they get to a certain age, they're homeless. Whoever they're living with is no longer receiving checks for them, or something may happen, or they may run away. There's different factors for everything, but there is literally nowhere most of the time to send them, or there's waits and they end up getting sent to shelters, which is scary, you know. And like you said, in high school or in school, who wants to say that they're homeless? But like, I mean, those numbers are so high, but there's not enough housing and enough facilities to match that. Like, it's really sad and disheartening, and I feel for these kids so much, because I can't imagine going from living in a home and then there's nowhere for you to go and you get thrown into a shelter where it's a whole experience that maybe you've never even been exposed to. And the school may still consider them homeless, but that's not what the state considers them anymore, even though they're in a shelter, and that's not a home. And they're like Jen said, they're getting sent up north. We need funding in South Jersey to have homes and transitional housing for them. And that's something that I know is a huge focus for us with the transitional youth and the foster youth, to find something in some way to help them, because we just don't have it.
Yeah, the group homes, I was thinking of just, you know, just typical treatment homes for foster youth. But now that you said that, our teenagers who age out of the system, or once they turn 18, and they feel like they don't want to be a part of the system anymore and utilize the benefits that the state can give them as foster youth, are finding themselves not placed up north necessarily, but they're finding themselves being placed in Atlantic City at the Covenant House, which, I mean, it's just, first of all, it's just not okay. So, I mean, we can do better. We can do better.
Much better. We can certainly do much better.
And we deserve better.
Yeah, we can do better.
Oh, my dog's gonna start barking now.
I know, I just like made my dog leave because he had the water bottle, but I was like muting as my husband, like, can you take the dog?
And Will, I'm going to put this one other thing out before we have to shut down. There is no place in Vineland for Code Blue. As you know, this past year, we had to ship our people into Millville by bus, and half of them wouldn't go because they live here in Vineland. Even if they're homeless, they'd rather stay in Vineland than go into Millville, even if it's 28 degrees at night, you know? So there's no reason that the city of Vineland doesn't have a place, with all the churches we have, with all the empty buildings we have, that there is not a place for them to go during Code Blue time. And it's also going to be Code Red if we ever get opened a little bit before the summer ends. That's state law that we're supposed to have that into place. We don't have that into place in Vineland. We do have it in Cumberland County. We can send them to Bridgeton and we can send them to Millville, but that's not right.
Yeah. And I would love to learn more about how that was allowed to occur. And it sounds like because they're complying, not every town has to have it. So therefore they're still in compliance. That's the sort of the way around it, I guess.
Well, Will, what happens in Cape May County is Cape Hope hosted the Middle Township Warming Center for the last 2 years through Cape Community Church. And in Cape May County, the municipalities that did not have a church site or a site that was suitable for a warming center, the police department substations or lobbies were used to substitute, you know, for a warming center. And that seemed to satisfy the requirement that we were told. So unfortunately, it wasn't optimal. It did get them out of the cold, but it wasn't a place where they could sleep. It wasn't a place where they could get a hot meal. That's not a requirement or part of the description of what a warming center is. We operated the warming center, and obviously we provided them with meals. We provided them with clothing, a change of clothing. We had not entertainment. We had like arts and crafts. TV. And then we had food as well. And we were available for mentorship if anyone needed to talk.
Sure. Well, I think anyone who has listened in and heard about all this wonderful work, I just want to encourage folks. Once again, it's Cape Hope, Hopeloft, Vineland Soup Kitchen, and we even talked about branches. Just if there will be links on the Facebook stream in the comments. We just want to make this as accessible for folks as possible. Their hotline numbers. If you or anyone you know is experiencing hardship, in need, from someone that's been there, please don't have shame. things are too difficult to let your pride get in the way of taking care of yourself and your kids and anyone in your family or your neighbors. Let them know these resources are here. I am so thankful for all the work you all do. I know how impactful it is, and keep up the good work. Keep the good fight going on. And any way I can be helpful, stay in touch. You guys all have my number and email. I'm in this to help folks, and I want to be out there with you all. So let me know how I can be helpful.
Well, one thing I want to say, I do a radio talk shows called The Ugly Truth on 92.1 WVLT. I do it once a month. On the 11th of this month is a Monday at 8 o'clock at night. Anybody that wants to come in and talk about these issues are more than welcome. Let me know ahead of time, and they'll be more than welcome to come in and talk on my show. It hit 3 states, and I got a very good listening audience. Okay, so any ladies want to come in, please let me know. You're welcome to come in anytime on my show. It's called The Ugly Truth. You can look it up in WVLT, and we can talk about these issues. I think it's a great topic. I love to be, talk about this because I always do it on my show. But it'd be nice from other counties to hear from other counties things are happening. And, I love to have any of you to come in. So you're welcome to come in anytime.
That's awesome. Thanks for giving everyone giving all the programs a platform, Tony. That means a lot. This is great because what's happening, you guys are going to continue to collaborate and, streamline these services. And no, there's not a one-stop shop, or like you said, Jen, about making sure, it's overwhelming to think that for one organization to sort of completely have wraparound services that meets the needs, all the needs. But this is sort of how we begin to sort of approach this in a more methodical manner, and that you guys are all going to be collaborating. And I hope you even reach a larger audience on May 11th, you said, Tony?
Yes.
Yeah.
Monday, the 11th, I think it is, at 8 o'clock at night. And like I said, if and you want to come in and talk about the issues, please let me know, and we'll set it up.
If I could just add to one other thing about Hopeloft. I know right now with the pandemic and the issues that we always experience, they obviously aren't going away. The pandemic is just kind of increasing some of them. So our victims of domestic violence, our children who are being abused and neglected because they don't have their teachers keeping a set of eyes on them to make these reports. Those reports have increased tenfold. So if anyone has an experience with domestic violence, or they're concerned, we do provide services or have outlets to resources, I guess you could say, for domestic violence, and obviously within the children's system of care and the Division of Child Protection and Permanency. So this is our time to kind of come and make the reports and all serve as mandatory reporters, because there's a lot going on that we're not able to see because we're not connecting with one another. So people may have a cry for help and we don't hear it. So it's kind of just being cognizant of that and making sure that they have somewhere to go, and the Hopeloft resource number can help. We'll find a way to help anyway. I mean, one of the things that we've always said is if we can't do it, we'll make sure we find someone who can. So we can definitely help.
And now we just made 2 extra resource connections.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. I'll definitely connect with everybody afterward. It's awesome.
Awesome.
Same here.
Thank you all for being here. That is a wrap for Town Hall number 4. I'm looking forward to. We have some really awesome future town halls. The month of May has some. So we have some awesome guests joining us. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm really excited for our next town hall. But this one's been fantastic. Thank you all for the great work, and have a great night.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye. I don't think I'm off yet.
Okay.
I don't know how to shut off. How do I leave?
I think we're still live on Facebook. Gosh, do you want to turn Facebook Live off?
Yeah, it's delayed. Facebook delays it for like a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Should be off now. All right, I'm gonna end the stream.
Great.